The reopening measures are slowly taking place amid the coronavirus pandemic. Malls and restaurants are working again, and factories move more and more of their personnel back into the offices. However, that doesn't mean that people won't get sick anymore. On the contrary, there are now many more chances of spreading the virus even farther. To protect the employees and clients of your business, we developed thermocontrol screening stations. It is a quick and safe solution. Thermocontrol measures temperature at a distance of 25 centimeters. The device is autonomous. It does not require an additional employee to conduct temperature measurements or log the results. It can measure and even recognize masked faces. All of the results are logged automatically and stored in the database. You can use the station to ensure your clients and employees access to your building automatically.
John Smith, Robot.
The station can issue entrance passes and grant access to the building after it measured the person's temperature. If the visitor's temperature is high, a notification will be sent and a potential carrier of the virus can't access the building. Thermocontrol can send SMS and messenger notifications, as well as notifications over email. Temperature measurement technologies allow businesses to ensure the safety of people and potentially save lives all over the world.
Afternoon, and it is certainly that time of the week. It is the middle of the week, but it's not only the middle of the week, it is Thanksgiving week. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you are adhering to the strict guidelines of really not traveling if you don't have to. Now, that's just my humble opinion, and the CDC's strict recommendation. But I see people are packing the airports. It's like there's no pandemic. And so I'm really hoping that folks really take this very seriously. The numbers are crazy. I'll get into the numbers a little later. But I want to welcome you to the JumpStart TV and the Marketplace Reset. I'm Anthony Weeks, your host, and we're live on WSDX 970 AM. We're live on several social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, as well as we're live on the JumpStart TV platform, and we rebroadcast on Tempo Television throughout the United States and the Caribbean and South America. And I want to welcome you to the program. Please go to www.jumpstarteconomy.us, and you're able to tune and watch the program live. Let me bring in my colleague to the program, both Linda and let's see here. Linda, Carolyn, look at you guys.
Hello.
And I see we have your guests in queue this afternoon as well. Looking forward to hearing what you guys are going to be talking about. How are you guys doing on your end?
We're hanging in there. Wonderful. We are wonderful.
Wait a minute. Linda, you said you're hanging in, and Carolyn said she's doing wonderful. Which one is it?
That just means we're complete. That's
it. We are wonderfully hanging in there.
Yes. Good job.
Oh
girl.
gosh.
Yes.
So how are you on your side? How's it going?
Well, things are obviously we're here in Prince George's County in the state of Maryland, and the coronavirus is surging like everywhere else. Our governor has taken additional steps. We've actually kind of pared back. We're back in phase 1 again, but we're hopeful, and I think everybody's working hard to be very strategic and very thoughtful about how they move about.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, yeah, and it's very important that we have this conversation today with Dr. Brown because we're going to need it as we head into the holiday and into the normal senses of isolation. And what do we need to do? How do we get re-inspired, frankly, to
Absolutely.
take personal caution and care? Sometimes time can create a lax and a false sense of security. But we still need to be ever so vigilant right now. As Carolyn said, our numbers are going up like across the country, and it's daunting to really understand.
If you indulge me, I feel a sense of obligation to really share this information, because I think people need to really stop and pause and think about this information I'm about to give them, because I think it can and should influence their decision in terms of their plans for Thanksgiving. The marketplace is reporting, as of yesterday, the U.S. COVID-19 death reported yesterday was 2,028. 2,028 people died yesterday.
Just on
just one day, and the numbers just keep going up. Yesterday, there were new cases, 166,672 cases.
It's astonishing.
Okay, number of tests that were conducted, a daily new tests reported in the U.S. 1.8 million tests that were conducted, and that's a record high. COVID patients now in the hospital. Are you ready for this? 88,080, another record high. Okay, so people need to really take caution. And for those who are not taking this seriously and they're totally disregarding, you don't want to become a statistics.
No. And I think what you said is really important. And I know I had been giving statistics on Prince George's County and what things look like. And there was a time where the number of new cases each week was in the single digits. The number of cases for the week ending November 14th in Prince George's County alone was 2,180. So that's frightening for us. We are right here, right beside the nation's capital. And when you consider that at the beginning of March, we had 0 confirmed cases, and right now we're at 39,515 with almost 900 Prince Georgians having died. This is really, really serious.
Absolutely. Well, let me not take up any more of your time. I know you guys have a lot to talk about. I will make up for the time that I used up on your segment. Therefore, you do your thing, and I look forward to listening and watching and listening to the conversation.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
So, Dr. Barbara Brown, thank you so very much for joining us today to talk about something that really continues to be a taboo subject in the African-American community. We keep hearing that, and we just don't understand why. And that is addressing a variety of mental health disorders. Right now, we should all really be thinking about that, because we've all suffered from isolation or some sense of care and concern above and beyond the normal given the pandemic. So welcome to our show. Carolyn, you want to do the introductions?
If I can do a little bit of an intro, Dr. Barbara Brown is really an amazing practitioner. She actually is the founder of the Capitol Hill Consortium for Counseling and Consultation. And she now has, is it 4 locations, or did you open more since last week?
We're about to open our 5th, but we have 4 right now. Right.
Exactly. And what I like most of all is you make the ability to get appropriate mental health consultations affordable and available. So you're all over the DC, Maryland, Virginia region, and people can easily access you. But can you give us an idea of how many patients you all are seeing a week? How many clients, if you will?
We have had a surge in the last year and a half, but especially during this time, we want to make ourselves available. So we've been adding more and more clinicians. So we're up to about 65 clinicians, and we're seeing about 1,100 people a week.
1,100 a week.
Yeah. And, and we still are hiring clinicians because there's more people waiting to be seen. So It's a, so I will say, first of all, thank you for having me. But I really do feel that mental health is finally coming to its proper place in terms of the recognition of how important it is.
Yes.
And, you know, as people are getting to the end of their ropes in many ways, or just feeling the need for extra support, you know, we want to make sure that we're available. And, you know, our practice is one of many that are, you know, that are filled to the brim.
Wow. What is the range of your patients in terms of ages? What is there an age limit, a start, a finish? What is that?
No, there's no age limit. We're a general practice, and we have various clinicians with various specialty areas. But I always joke and say we see age 3 to 83, and we do, you know, play therapy, individual therapy, couples therapy, family therapy, group therapy, and you know, right now since COVID hit, we were all on site before. Now we're doing totally remote telehealth services. And we were open for a little bit, but now I just made the decision to close again last Monday because of the increasing numbers.
So are you able to, well, first of all, I just want to commend you for working towards scaling to meet the need versus capping or pulling back, because a couple of things that I see that are critical. One, you're working hard to meet the demand, and that's critical for those who are now seeking mental health support in any of the spectrums. It's important that when they're ready, that people are available to help. And then two, frankly, it gives your clinicians an opportunity to earn an income, because everyone is suffering within the pandemic economy. Even our healthcare workers are suffering. So it gives opportunity for employment as well as intentful support. And then thirdly, it does in fact raise awareness and put a spotlight on the fact that mental health should never be a taboo. It should be as important as someone breaking their arm or their leg and getting the kind of orthopedic treatment. In this case, you may have some broken feelings, some broken emotions, something much more significant that needs to be addressed like every other health concern. And we know in our region, the Greater Washington Metropolitan region, and right here in Prince George's County, where we're located, behavioral health beds in hospitals are very few in comparison, particularly when we talk about adolescents' behavioral health treatment opportunities in hospitals, as well as out in the community. So there's a lot riding on what you're doing, and really helping all of us to move forward, get our head wrapped around this whole thing called the pandemic economy, a pandemic health platform, isolation, COVID safety, virtual learning, all of the above things that we have, you know, unemployment, coexisting disease. I mean, it's just, it goes on and on and on and on and on. So tell us a little bit about some of the types of treatments that you're seeing come through with those 1,100 a week. That's just astonishing to me.
Well, I think that, again, no one is unaffected by this pandemic. And as we know, it's not just been the health crisis, it's been economic crisis, as well as racial injustice and a interesting election, to say the least. So there's been so many things, and so many people have been affected differently, again, depending on employment issues and you know, whether they have steady finances or not, the type of employment that they have in terms of, are they on the front line or in at-risk categories versus being able to work remotely from home. You know, what is their health status in terms of, do they have any pre-existing or risk factors? Age issues, again, who's more susceptible than others, and race issues. Again, looking at the combination of socioeconomic factors and systemic racism. The living situations are different in terms of whether people are living alone or whether they have children and they are doing homeschooling as well as trying to hold down a job. And then there's the issue of relationship quality. You know, this is a time where you're blessed if you have a supportive environment, supportive relationships. But we also know that the tendency toward abuse and violence can also be dangerous during this period. And then, you know, most tragically is the loss that people are experiencing and the grief work people are needing to do because of the pandemic. And I've been finding more and more people affected every week as I'm talking with my clients as well as my clinicians about their clients. Just there's it's just more and more.
Is that loss and grief around most topics? Is because we think of loss and grief in that context around the death of a loved one, but you're saying in the broader sense, it's just as profound, you know, loss of, you know, movement, you know, just all kind of losses.
Absolutely. And it's the same process, no matter whether it's the loss through death or the loss of one's innocence or the loss of one's job. It doesn't matter. You go through the same kind of grieving process. But I was specifically talking about more and more death.
Good. Well, Dr. Barbara, when would a person make the decision that I need to see someone? Sometimes we think in our minds that someone we know needs to see someone, but what would bring me to that decision? Or because unlike anything else, if I have diabetes, that my sugar number reaches a certain level, or if it's around my cholesterol or blood pressure, there's certain markers. What would I know? I'm going about my life. I'm working remotely. When would I reach a point that I would think I need to see someone?
I think that, the good news is people are coming in sooner rather than later. We still have people coming in when they're truly in crisis, and they need help or someone is bringing them. But, you know, when people are experiencing, you know, anxiety, people are coming, or fear or panic, when people are starting to feel a sense of depression. And again, that can range in a continuum from mild depression through suicidal, you know, depression, or a lot of anger. And again, what I used to say that, especially, you know, we are a multicultural practice, but I work with a lot of African American clients. And in the past, again, I've been working 34 years in the field, but, you know, I used to say, have the wheelbarrow theory that, you know, people, you know, carry their bricks and they're just surviving, and another brick goes in the wheelbarrow and another brick. And then they come to therapy when that last brick tips over the wheelbarrow.
Right.
You know, and so I'm happy to say that people are coming sooner, because there's more awareness that, you know, their quality of life is deteriorating and their functioning is deteriorating, and they just need support. And we've been trying to give the message for years that there is no stigma, you know, with mental health, that everyone has issues and everyone, you know, needs therapy at some point in their life. It's very helpful.
Well, that's really good to know. I'm just thinking as I'm going about my life, and maybe my family might be noticing that I'm, you know, trigger happy, quick on the temper or something. And is it, you know, at what point they would reach that they would think, you know what, this is not you, or this is a new you. You know, everybody's got a new normal, and there could possibly be a new me. But when I reach out to your practice and I call, how do I get matched up with the right person? Or is that even a process?
No, it is a process. We have our website, first of all, so people can go to the website and look up all the various clinicians. Each clinician has their bio and most have their picture. And so you can see who you feel most comfortable with. But also we have an intake coordinator. And so when you call, they will take your, various factors in terms of your age, your availability, your initial presenting, just briefly, your presenting problem, and any type of therapist that you prefer to see, because again, we have a whole range of therapists. And, and of course their insurance, we accept all insurances because again, we're trying to be available and accessible. So we take everything, public and private insurances. And then we do our best to match you to someone who is available. And sometimes people are calling for a specific clinician and they may have to be put on a wait list for that particular clinician. But we do try to get them to see the variety of people that we have.
Wonderful.
Dr. Barbara, can you share with us if in this pandemic time, you're finding that there are more, let's say, employers who are noticing that they need to actually bring in someone to work more closely with their workforce? Because I know we have these wonderful employee assistance programs, but I think we're in kind of almost a state of quiet emergency where employers need to really think about, as I'm thinking about my employees and human resource, what more can I do? And therefore make the clinicians available or the tools available. Maybe there's some online surveying to say, do you feel this way, or resources that are a little bit more unusual. We know that businesses don't want to necessarily pry, and they're hoping that employees will access the information that's available to them. But sometimes they need support, and that comes into what they're experiencing daily. So are you advising businesses on how to look for those types of issues and therefore how to get ahead of that, whether it be in, the clinicians in a hospital who are, I call them the new military, because that is some frontline military work they're doing.
We certainly are heroes, right?
They are heroes, but then the post-traumatic stress, particularly if they lose one of their colleagues to a COVID-19 who become a patient versus a caregiver. So I'm just thinking, how can businesses tap into this and be yet further responsible and supportive of their to their workforce? What would you give?
I'm glad you asked that, because there have been opportunities where employers have been reaching out more to practices like myself. And we've been doing webinars and educational forums. We've done some e-learning as well as webinars for employers on how to tell, if your workforce is stressed and what help is available to them, and just about stress in general. And so that's been another opportunity that has come up. But I wish all the employers would do that. It's really the ones who are, more prone to be compassionate, to their employees. I think that we could use a lot more of them. So.
I love that word, compassion. And I think that's the 2020 word that we have to bring into our experiences, is to demonstrate more compassion. Therefore, it would make employers have a different decision. Instead of the lunchroom amenities, maybe it's now the webinars that are consistently and constantly available, and available after hours, available before hours, so that individuals can get to their work and not feel that they have to make a decision around being productive versus being supportive of their family health, and make it free. Make that a benefit, a free benefit. Great. So that's
excellent. That's a great idea, Linda, because a lot of the benefits that they were getting no longer exist. So you're not getting the free coffee and the free snacks or the free lunches they were bringing in. So that can be substituted with this. It makes me wonder. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry, because this is such a near and dear issue to my heart, because I'm a mom of a middle schooler and a high schooler now. And I'm constantly not thinking about them. I'm thinking about them, but they're doing phenomenal. But what I'm noticing is really the rough edges around their educators and the stress and strain of educating through a virtual environment and having the desire to make sure their kids are learning. But because, certain kids are responding in certain ways to the virtual environment, as a get off free card, which obviously is not going to help them, they're feeling so, I'm not going to say depressed, but I think really challenged on how to do their job because they have that compassion and passion for teaching and instruction, and therefore having that response come back that their children are learning. How would you propose to work with the school systems and making something mandatory? Is there anything that's set up like that?
It's interesting. I was just talking to a clinician last night who has an expertise in working with frontline people, whether they're teachers or residential. And we were talking about how we can be supportive, more supportive. But we just did a training for actually the students. We were offering it for the Duke Ellington School, and we were asked by the Howard Middle School, and we did stress management and mindfulness for the teenagers. But
Good job.
but again, the teachers need the help too. I personally have some teachers on my caseload, and I know we see quite a few of teachers, and what I'm hearing from them is, yes, it is stressful. The kids are stressed. Some it's hard to wrangle all of them in the same way because some are more distracted than others. Some have things going on in the background with their families while they're trying to do the work. Mm-hmm. So it is very challenging, but we talk about trying to focus on what you can do, validating your own strengths as a teacher, and trying to let go of the things you can't control, which is really important during this time, because otherwise that can increase more stress.
And Carolyn, can I make sure that we get, before we extra time, but can we get some information out there, the website, a telephone number, other information that, so that the listening and viewing audience can connect with you, and then we'll repeat that a couple of more times so they can get their pen and paper. We have ours. Okay. We want our viewers to get theirs in preparation. So how would someone reach out to you?
Sure. Our main number is 202-544-5440. So that should be simple, easy.
Repeat that again.
And our website is cccmentalhealth.com.
So 4 C's.
4 C's, mentalhealth.com.
Wonderful.
Outstanding.
So let me get that, and thank you, Linda, for doing that. And we'll repeat that again before we get off the show. But the question I want to ask you is, what can I do day to day in my house? You said some people are doing things. I just want some strategies to just be, the doctors are telling me to walk and they're telling me what to eat, but I need to know, what do I do to keep this right?
Okay. So where we are right now, one of the things that I've been, thinking about is, like, we are being told, some hopeful news, even though we're in the middle of the worst part of this pandemic right now. We're being told, it's about 6 months more. And so I'm trying to help people get into the 6-month mindset, so that they can keep things into perspective. And also, secondarily, making a 6-month plan with as many goals as they can, because even though this is a very difficult time for so many people, it's also an opportunity to focus in a way that you don't usually have, in terms of being still and being, able to tap into yourself and some of the things you really want to achieve. And so this is an opportunity as well. And I'm trying to help people shift their mindset so they have proper perspective. This is not going to happen forever. And there's something you can do that is just for you during this period of time. That being said, you also have the usual in terms of, needing to focus on positive habits, in terms of the basics. The basic emotional immunity is fueled by proper sleep, proper nutrition, and exercise. Those are fundamentals that everyone needs to focus on. And I can go into more specifics, but if you want me to. But the second, in terms of additional stress reduction techniques, you all have your journals, and actually journaling is a wonderful stress management technique. It's important for it to be private and personal and uncensored, but that can be your way of letting out a lot of what is on your mind and having a mental dump, so to speak. Meditation is very helpful in terms of, being able to, there's lots of forms of meditation. Prayer is a form of meditation. Watching the water move is a form of meditation. It's just, just allowing just things to flow through you. And there are mindfulness apps that are very helpful for meditation as well, to help you center and calm yourself. Calm is the name of one. Headspace is another.
Insight
also,
is another. I particularly like Insight.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that one, but that's great.
It's
Yes.
a great one.
Yeah. And then helping people realize, try to control what you can. Okay. There's been a lot of blurring of spaces because people are working from home, people have families, children doing schoolwork at home. There's just lots of things that can get really blurry, days getting blurry. And so really trying to have routines, that you can practice, that you can control, that are helpful. I like the Morning Miracle, particularly, that it focuses on, 6 things you can do in the morning: silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. And you can do it for 1 minute each, or 60 minutes each, whatever length of time that you have. And creating soothing spaces in your house, and separating spaces so that you have, I'm in my workspace now, but at the end of my workday, I close the door. I don't go in here again until I'm back at work, and I'll access other parts of my house for other soothing things.
Wow.
That are helpful. And, again, good time management is important to stop the blurring.
Stop the blurring. I
I
love
know
that.
I love that. We've been hearing slow the spread. This is stop the blurring, and I feel this. I get it.
And Carol and I can honestly say at some point we were blurring, and we were blurring with actually a different timetable because our business took us into Asia, and so we were blurring a 24-hour work day in order to accommodate. There are a couple of things that I wanted to ask you before we see our wonderful friend Anthony come back and let us know we're about to run out of time.
Yeah.
Go ahead and finish up if you have something.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the concept of radical acceptance, and that is like it's like the serenity prayer. It's like, take control of the things you can and accept the things you can't control. It is what it is, and stop fighting what you can't control and focus on what you can control. So that concept is called radical acceptance. And unfortunately, that's the goal of all grief work, is radical acceptance. To accept what is.
That's amazing. One of the things in our family that we did was to create what we called a family plan, and so this was a way for me to get my daughters involved in our home life in a different way, so that they could have the responsibility, and not that I wanted to put any out on them, but I wanted to be inclusive. So because we're going to be in the house together for a long time between work and school and play, it was all inside the house. What would you give for, their families of one to families of, so much, many more than one. What together can they do as a family around the subject of mental health and addressing everything from the stresses all the way up to suicidal ideation, because that's very real right now. It was real before the pandemic in the African American community and unspoken, and it's certainly accelerated and increasing. So how do we address that?
So I'll start with communication. And we teach communication using I statements so that every person can really speak from where they are and be heard from where they are. Because oftentimes when people start with, you did this to me or you did that to me, you just get defensive responses. And it really doesn't lead to really people understanding where each other is. And so the I statements are very important. And then encouraging them, having, the family dinners again, which you have an opportunity for. So forums to get together. You can have play night, or board game night, or movie night, or date night for couples, or those kind of rituals kind of bring people together in some healthy ways. And will continue the ability to then talk about some of the harder topics. If you feel that sense of closeness, then you're going to feel more comfortable saying if you're getting into trouble, or if you're having a hard day. And so it's very important. And also reaching out for appropriate help. Again, we try to be affordable and accessible, and there are other resources out here as well. So I see
that happen.
Come back.
You see that four square.
We see the four square. So let's get another opportunity for individuals to write down the telephone number to reach your practice: 202-544-5440. And the website is CCCC, that's 4 C's, mentalhealth.com.
Yes.
Outstanding.
That's great. You've been amazing. And we are so grateful to be able, we do absolutely positively want to bring you back on. The strategies that you have given us, and I've written down 9 of them, about the positive habits, the stress reduction through journaling, meditation, mindfulness apps, controlling what we can, routines, soothing spaces in our home, time management, and radical acceptance. These are things we want to remember and start to practice, but we've got to have a deeper conversation with you on a different day.
Yes,
okay.
and stop the blurring.
Yes.
Compartmentalize your life inside of the bubble of your home so that you can feel that you have something to look forward to. And I love the morning miracle. So those principles as well. But most importantly, seeking the help when you feel that you need it. Don't second guess whether you do or don't. If you feel off, then you should make the phone call and then get that assessment, whether or not further assistance is absolutely needed. We cannot stress that enough.
And thank you so much for having me here.
Yes, so don't go away just yet. Don't go away just yet. I know Anthony may have a question or two. Are you ready?
No, I just want to acknowledge. Thank you so much for this important conversation. Obviously, we know the stigma associated with mental health, but certainly, the stress of dealing and coping with the pandemic for several months, 8-9 months. I think all of us are strained by it, and for us to be able to just have this to eavesdrop and listen to the conversation, all of us need to have that time out, that therapy, to be able to have just an outlet to be able to talk about just the pent up frustration that we have and lack of just not being able to control any of this. So thank you so much, Dr. Brown, for your valuable contribution today.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, ladies. I want to once again say, I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving plan. Please adhere to the rules. Okay, like the CDC say, we don't want to become a statistic, right? I want to be able to say next week, hey, we had a wonderful time and we did it right. Okay.
Yes,
Wonderful.
yes,
Thank you so
yes.
much, Anthony.
Thank
And
you.
we will see you again.
All right.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Happy
much.
Thank you,
Thanksgiving.
Dr. Brown. Have a
Okay.
great
Thank
show.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Happy
Bye.
Thanksgiving.
All right. All right. So that was my colleagues, Linda and Carolyn, and their guests, Dr. Barbara Brown, psychologist and PhD, and talking about mental health and the impact of what the COVID-19 pandemic is having on all of us. I know personally that I have been, dealing with it, and so clearly, I think it was welcoming conversation for me at least. We're now going to segue into our second guest, and he's going to be with us until 2:30, 2:30 our time, 1:30 Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to have a conversation, a follow-up conversation, in the important work his agency is doing. He is the CEO. Recently got appointed as the permanent CEO of the U.S. Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority. And he's been tasked with a plan by the governor to look at where we're going to be, or where we hope to be by 2040. And, and some of us say, wow, that's a long time away. Well, it's, I think it's about time that we look at long-term planning and where do we see the future of the Virgin Islands economy. And I'm looking forward to being able to have this discussion with Wayne Biggs, the CEO of the Economic Development Authority. Good afternoon, Wayne. Wayne, welcome. Again, you're no stranger to the program, and just good to have you back again. Hope all has been well with you.
Yeah, good afternoon, Anthony, and thanks for having me, and good afternoon to your listening audience and your viewing audience. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here and to talk about Vision 2040, the 20-year strategic plan that the U.S. Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority has been tasked with leading by Governor Bryan. So we're very excited about this plan. It's something that we've talked about for the last several years, and now it's finally coming to fruition where we're working to develop the plan.
Fantastic. Well, what I'd like to do, I'd like to share a little bit of, if you will, news coming from the Federal Reserve. The chairman of the Federal Reserve talked about, and it was, his report couldn't have been, the timing couldn't have been better, because he said basically we cannot go back to the old economy. This pandemic literally is a game changer. Is changing the dynamics of what we understood before, what got us there, but it's not going to be enough to keep us there. And so I want to be able to share that with you and the audience. But I want, before I continue, I just want to say that, Happy Thanksgiving. And it doesn't seem like it, right, this week, but because of the pandemic, but it's Thanksgiving week, right?
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving week. Definitely, we're going to celebrate a little differently. Let me say Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. But you're correct. With COVID, it gives a different feel to Thanksgiving. And let me say, I totally agree with the Federal Reserve Chairman also that the economy as we know it will be somewhat different. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot more remote work, a lot more work from home or work from a remote area. And I think business is going to change slightly. And so we're going to have to look at technology and how we use technology in reference to the business community.
Fantastic. My dynamic duo partner is here, Terry Coaxum. You know Terry, of course.
Terry,
yes. Hey, Terry, coming in live from the New York City tri-state area. How you doing?
Absolutely. I'm good. We're looking at Thanksgiving in a new normal, right? So as he said, it's going to change the concept of Thanksgiving, because a lot of people think about Thanksgiving as a big gathering. You're bringing all the family together. It's not safe to do that. So, right. We're looking at other ways. So, like when I said, we got the virtual technology now, right? So we can absolutely, prepare our food together still, right? Virtually. Right. So we can have a virtual opening of our kitchen, so to speak. We can have a gathering around the table, and we can put the Zoom on our TV now as well, and still, play games with your family, and whatever that experience would have been in person, you can do it safely. And so looking at a lot more opportunities like that, and technology has provided the platforms to do it. I want businesses that are listening, or the audience that's listening, to remember their small business in this time too. So just as we're suffering and not able to gather, the small businesses continue to patronize your small business, continue to buy your products from your small businesses, continue to go online. Marketplace is an excellent opportunity for you to get online and purchase the goods, the wares, and the widgets of your small businesses, because that is now available to you. And so I am looking forward to Thanksgiving. I'm looking forward to seeing my family virtually. I'm looking forward to having a wonderful meal with them. And I just hope that everyone is listening will do that safely.
Thank you so much for that, Terry.
Absolutely.
What I'm going to do is before you came on, I mentioned that I'm going to share a piece from the current chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, and this is going to be important. If we did not realize it, we're going to realize it now. And let's just listen in on what he has reported in terms of what we can expect. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
This crisis is in the process of growing. It's accelerating pre-existing technological change. So technological change raises productivity generally, and over long periods of time, those gains tend to be broadly shared. But in the short term, that may or may not be the case. And I along with many others, we leave social media out of it, by the way, in terms of adding to productivity. I'm not sure I would say that for social media. But for other kinds of technology, I would say it. And in this particular situation, I would worry that the changes, we're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy. And it will be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers who, as Andrew just mentioned, it's relatively low-paid public-facing workers in the service sector who are bearing the brunt. This is largely minorities and women, or skewed toward minorities and women, and relatively low-paid. So those people are going to struggle to get back to work in their old jobs, or in many cases in new jobs. So I think you'll see more telework. You'll see probably the acceleration of automation. All of that was in the process of happening, but you're going to see much more of it. And I guess that for me, the main takeaway from all of this is that even after the unemployment rate goes down and the economy is, and there's a vaccine, there's going to be probably a substantial group of workers who are going to need support as they find their way in the post-pandemic economy, because it's going to be different in some fundamental ways.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Wayne. Any surprises there based on what the chairman of the Federal Reserve mentioned? And when you think of your 2040 plan, where does that, the alignment in what his thoughts are?
Yeah, no surprises to be there, Anthony. I mentioned technology, and I was not surprised, but it was welcoming to hear him mention technology and the use of technology. And I agree with Terry. Since COVID-19, my family, we've been doing a virtual movie night, once a month for the most part.
Nice.
My sister's in Virginia. My son is in Florida. My mom and brother are one end of the island. My family's on the other. But we get together, and it assists. So we'll probably do a virtual Thanksgiving also. And we're going to use technology. And we're actually using technology quite a bit in our office right now. Prior to Governor Bryan declaring the COVID emergency here in the territory, about a week before, we did move to a mobile platform. And we were lucky enough where we had pretty much a laptop environment in our office. So people were able to work from home, and we had the facilities there. So
you started that habit, that practice.
Right. So we started the practice. And we've been actually conducting our business. So we have not closed a day as a result of COVID.
At all.
We've been working full time with the exception of holidays. Everybody needs a break. So the holidays were off. But we did not take any time off. We went straight into a remote work environment. And we've been, working and doing our clients' business since that time. And we've been working pretty well. What we did do is we upgraded our platforms. So we had to expand our Zoom platform somewhat. To provide some additional functionality. As you know, you can pay for different levels that give you different functions in Zoom. So we've done that. So we've actually been even doing our decision meetings and our public hearings all by virtual by Zoom or Teams. We've used Teams in some instances also, but Zoom right now is our preferred platform. and it's working fairly well with us.
So the transition has been quite natural for you.
It's quite seamless, yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's always been seamless. I mean, for us, I mean, the one thing is we don't have the walk-in customers that we had before.
Are you getting any friction, any pushback from the customers?
What we do is we ask them to reach out to us via email or call us on the phone. We do have our receptionist is there, and so she's moving phone calls where they need to go. And then if we need to we'll set up a Zoom meeting. So it's working pretty well for the most part, and we've been able to conduct a lot of stuff by Zoom. Occasionally we have in-person meetings as required. I mean, me and you have had a few in-person meetings, Anthony, but for the most part, we've been doing everything virtually, and it's been working pretty well.
That's fantastic. So you have a major task in front of you. You have to plan for the foreseeable future. What is the Virgin Islands economy going to look like? Now, the Virgin Islands is part of the United States. We have the most southern tip of the United States in the Caribbean. We're considered a rural community. When you think of our largest economic output is tourism, it's 60%. So we have a workforce that is literally designed around service orientation in that space. Do you see that based on the average, everyday blue collar worker, service related industry, and the industry that's our biggest industry, do you see any friction in terms of what the future is going to look like as you look towards planning the 2020 the 2040 objective?
No, first of all, let me say we have a big task in front of us. I mean, and we're the lead agency, but we're trying to create a community developed plan. So we're trying to get community input into our plan. So as a territory, the plan will be formulated based on information we receive from our community. And the reason we wanted it to be community based is we wanted this plan to be able to succeed administrations, to succeed the life of legislative bodies. And if it's community based, we figure that you would have to follow that plan for the most part. But we are the lead, and we're pulling it all together. We do have the assistance of an entity called Camoin Associates, who went through an RFP process. And Camoin is a firm out of the DC, Virginia area. They're well known in regard to assisting rural areas create strategic plans, and they're one of the foremost economic development agencies in the nation right now. So we're using their assistance and their expertise to help us create that. But what we're doing is we're pulling all the data from community input, not only residents, but we're also reaching out to the diaspora, to where we have large Virgin Islands communities. So this past Saturday, I did meet virtually with the DC Virgin Islands Association, and we had a very good talk. But we're trying to get input from Virgin Islanders that are residents and Virgin Islanders that may live on the mainland or live abroad to formulate this plan. And so that's why I say it's our plan, but we're tasked with just putting it together.
Okay, so
That's important.
I'm following the outline that basically asks the fundamental questions, right? So you kind of started, when I wanted to ask, what is Vision 2040? But I'm going to take it a little further and say, why? Why 2040? Is this the first go at a long-term plan, or this is you've done this before and it's why 2040?
No, let me give you a little background. I mean, our entity through our Enterprise Zone Commission has assisted with created town plans and community plans, and I label them differently because we have the Christiansted Town Plan that we assisted with, and the Frederiksted Town Plan, and that's two separate towns on St. Croix. But then in St. Thomas, we had community plans. We had the Savannah Down Street Community Plan, and the Garden Street Up Street Community Plan. And I say community plans because Charlotte-Omni is the town, and there's different communities within the town. And we started talking about how do we create a vision for the territory similar to how we created these visions for the towns and the communities. And we wanted to go, again, for a generational type plan and a community-based plan to outlive. We didn't want a new administration coming in and maybe modifying or changing the plan.
That has been a real problem.
And that's been a problem.
That's been a real big problem.
And we realized that, and that's why we looked at a long term. And it is the first effort to create a 20-year plan. We've done a lot of short-term plans, and I say short-term between 3 and 5 years. The SETS plan, the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, is basically a 5-year plan, and we're going through that process now. But this plan is going to pull, hopefully, all of these plans together and integrate them into the plan.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the Tourism Master Plan. We're working on a Blue Economy Plan. the SEDS plan. We're asking Port Authority for any of the plans that they have. We're asking tourism to provide any plans that they may have, or WICO, so we can sort of create a synergy between these plans. And we look at the short-term plans as sort of the working plans of how do we get to this long-term vision. And everything is on the table right now. We have a steering committee that's made up of private sector individuals, nonprofits, and public sector individuals. So we have many of the cabinet level commissioners and directors are within that steering committee, and we're looking at everything from education to a comprehensive land and water use plan. Everything is there now. We're talking about everything simultaneously.
Terry?
Awesome. I think first of all, I commend you right now, Wayne, and the team for this effort, and I think it's thoroughly needed, especially in this time, right? So we're talking about bringing all of the key players and the key influencers together in this plan to make it a unified plan. So it's not our plan, it's not a they plan. It's not a their plan. It's us. It's all of us together. So that's number one, right? The other thing is, I think that is really important in this, and this is transition in any government, right? There is going to be some changes, and a lot of these changes don't necessarily, are for the betterment of the entire community. So I think having the entire community be a part of this process is going to be the key to the success of this plan, right? Because they're going to buy into it from the beginning because they're a part of it. A lot of times we're given a plan, someone will go out and they'll create this plan and they'll say, here, this is what you need. But it's important for us to ask the businesses, well, what do you need? You're in the trenches. You're things are going, how are things going? How do we fix it? Right. So asking that why question. The same thing for our hospitals and our government agencies. So it's very important to include public, private, nonprofit, communities, all together to make sure that this plan is going to be successful. So I commend you on that. And I look forward to hearing a little more about how that's working out, especially in the Virgin Islands, so that we can be supportive and making sure that these efforts are going to, first of all, that we can make sure that we're telling the community to get involved. I know that you have a community down in Florida that's very vibrant, a Virgin Island community in Florida that's very vibrant, that is probably a part of your plan, the DC you just talked about, but there are other communities as well. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how this plan is going to play itself out. And hopefully, and from working in the Virgin Islands, hopefully it brings people back to the Virgin Islands as well to be a part of it, because a lot of what we do is we create these geniuses in the Virgin Islands, right? We create or get all this talent in the Virgin Islands, and then sometimes they go mainland. So this plan, what I envision when it's done correctly and all are involved, I can see Virgin Islands actually coming back and contributing to the economy, contributing to the community, and contributing to the well-being of the Virgin Islands. So I commend you and look forward to seeing what that materializes.
So here's what we're gonna. So this is a perfect way to segue to the second segment, and so what the questions I have, we will then transfer over to the second segment.
Okay.
And there are a series of questions. I want to understand a little bit more about who is really involved behind. You mentioned several entities,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to help the community better understand who are the key players involved, how are you managing this process, just who are the people involved for that. And so when we come back on the other side, folks, we're going to switch to the other studio, and we're going to come back on the second segment. This is JumpStart TV and the Marketplace Reset here, live on WSDX, live on the JumpStart TV platform, live on Tempo Network, live on social media. We'll be right back.
All right.